Welcome back to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm Stephen Conway. With me is Jeremy Finestone. We're contributors to the Fight Game Media Network. We're very happy to be back with everybody. It was a show, Jeremy, where we saw a wonderful power struggle thing. We did a special show wrapping that up. So this week, we just get to kind of talk about the issues and some of the upcoming events that are coming along. And there's a lot to be excited about. How are you feeling this week?
I'm great. I'm ready to bullshit about some New Japan right now. That's what we're going to be doing today. We did a show Saturday recapping all of Power Struggle. So go ahead and check the archives on YouTube for that. You can just look us up and find out all there. And now we're here talking about Lone Star Shootout. We got some Wrestle Kingdom matches that have just been laid bare. We got a couple of other matches that seem to be in the wings. Some of our dreams are not coming true. Some of our dreams are coming true. Some of these Wrestle Kingdom matches. Let's get this underway, my man.
We're also going to preview the Lone Star Shootout this week. We're going to talk a little bit about Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata. We've got some other things. And we also have Brad and Colin here with us. Hey, guys, I'm glad you're here. And we have a special interactive segment. We're going to try something. We're going to experiment, Jeremy. I got an idea.
I already forgot what this was, so I'm ready to have some fun with it, too.
So we're going to take a look at this.
Steven told me this idea, and I was like, sure, sounds great. And then I realized I forgot completely.
It'll be a surprise to everybody. Venk and Bjorn's here, too. Good. All right. I'm glad you guys are here for this, because this is something I wanted. All we got the best folks here. We got the A-team here with us this week, and that's what I wanted for this. So let's talk about some of the. Hey, there you go. Sam's here, too. Fantastic. This is going to be great. Sam from Power Bombshells, 1 p.m. on Sunday. Don't forget about that show here with
click like and subscribe both of our shows on the YouTube Fight Game Media channel.
Absolutely. And also, rate us, leave us a review on the podcast as well. It helps helps people find the show. So let's talk a little bit about coming out of Power Struggle, the Wrestle Kingdom matches that were announced. Again, we had the show earlier this week that you can listen to us really break down that great Power Struggle show match by match. But we have a few matches here that are definitely worth mentioning. And of course, we found out we're going to get the special singles rematch between Kazuchika Okada and Bryan Danielson in the Dome. So that's one that we got a lot of time to talk about these matches. So we're not going to break this thing down and dismantle it here on
all
this
I gotta
episode.
say is it sure is funny that injury managed to keep him out of commission right up until Wrestle Kingdom, but he's totally going to be fine for it.
We're putting him in bubble wrap.
How that works out.
We're putting Bryan Danielson in bubble wrap until this one. We're going to make sure we get this one in. Will Ospreay against Jon Moxley, yes, and David Finlay. Well, here's the thought on this one. But that's the reaction.
You either love or hate that this match is happening.
No, across wrestling, that was the reaction, right? And the funny thing is, I think this is going to work out just fine.
Yeah,
I don't think Ospreay is going to win this match, but we're going to get into it later. But Moxley might, Finlay might, and they needed to have the leader of Bullet Club in a prominent spot. And I think this is actually going to be a good way for them to do it. I think these three have enough of a contrast in styles that this could be a really exciting match. Moxley's a good worker at what he does, and the people in Japan love him. Will Ospreay is one of the very best in the world. We're going to get into that in a minute. And I think this actually has great potential. So anyway, that's the match. It's a three-way match for a new championship. Now, it mentions it here, the US-UK heavyweight title. But Finlay demolished both of those belts, and both he and Ospreay in backstage comments said something about a new title, whether it's bringing back the Intercontinental title or starting something brand new.
And it will not be the Intercontinental title, the understanding that I have based off of discussions with people I'm not going to say are like official or anything, but who know more than we do and are able to share such information. It probably will not be the Intercontinental title. I have one thought about David Finlay in this match. That is, up to this point, the number of people who have seen clips of David Finlay and have opinions of David Finlay without actually watching David Finlay in a high-level match is minuscule. And him in this event at Wrestle Kingdom will put more eyes on him and actually watching a match than anything he's had up to this point. I understand that he's been in the G1 and he's had a Dominion match where he was dominant with the never open weight. This is a completely different level of exposure for him. This is a match with Will Ospreay and Jon Moxley, and this is the put up or shut up match for him. And I'm confident he's going to be able to put up.
And of course, Will is about to be the biggest free agent in wrestling, so that's coming up here soon. Venkin mentions
February,
this.
baby.
I agree with Eddie Kingston about what he said about Finley. I think he said something along the lines of he just doesn't believe him, right? He just doesn't. Isn't that what he said? Help us out on that, Venkin, a little bit right there. Help us out.
Elaborate, my friend.
And he also says Moxley's going to make it false count anywhere around the Tokyo Dome. He might trade. I'll bet he suggests it. I don't know if he's going to get it, but I don't know. He made a hell of a good use out of the building last week there, Edion Arena in Osaka. He and Great-O-Khan did a wonderful job there, incorporating that arena into their match.
I have to
look
like forward to that match.
Yeah, it was a great one, man. That was great. All right, what else do we have here? Yes, here we go. On the cover of Weekly Pro Wrestling in Japan this week, Hiromu Takahashi and El Desperado one-on-one. And these are the two best junior heavyweights in the world. There you go.
Low key, the match I didn't think that they would do, and I am over the moon that they're doing it.
Loki's not in that match. What are you talking about? Next, we have Catch 2-2 against Clark Connors and Drilla Moloney for the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championship. And these are probably two of the best junior teams in the world. So no complaints about any of this, man. No complaints.
Best junior team or best tag teams in the world? I'm struggling when I thought about this. Or is this a match between the two best tag teams in the world?
The two best tag teams in the world?
Yeah.
No. But I mean, they're very
in the world right now.
Who are the best teams in the world right now?
Yeah.
I'm still in the tank for Aussie Open.
Which has not been much of a tag team for.
No, but I mean that's more due to injuries.
Aussie Open tag team of 2023, unfortunately.
You know, I'm still a nut for FTR. I like them an awful lot. I still think they're pretty great. But I mean they're amongst.
They've had a better catalog of matches than Catch 2-2 this year.
Well, that's I mean, maybe it is.
This is legitimately a question that I've been struggling with. It's like, is this a match of the two best tag teams of 2023? And there's a real argument for it.
There's an argument,
maybe we'll revisit this in a couple of weeks. But when you start really digging in the catalog of matches and quality, like it's a preference thing when you get down to it. But subjectively, they're in the conversation. Both.
Oh, definitely. Oh, they're certainly in the conversation. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure Coughlin and Kidd aren't, if you really go to it. And I'll tell you what, TMDK, when they're hitting on all cylinders, Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols, smooth as silk, too, in the ring together. So there's a lot of good ones. Bishamon, we really shouldn't dismiss those two.
Oh, right. Eddie,
although you did. You just did. Venkin said Eddie made a post about Finley that read, "Local guy ruins everything," with a picture of David Finlay. Okay.
He's not wrong.
And Brad says he's happy for Despy to get his big moment. So
I am too. So, Steven, you know what's exciting?
What's that?
How we're going to be able to watch Wrestle Kingdom.
Well, yes, but can I do my other thing there? My interactive thing here? Okay, here's what I wanted to talk about. Everyone agrees, basically, everyone that matters agrees, that Will Ospreay right now in 2023 is having one of the best years in the ring that anyone has ever had. Just the various people that he's been in the ring with, the classic matches that he's had. This is what I wanted to ask this group of people about. Now, we're going to get into this, and I don't want you to send your responses yet. So I want you to think about this for a while, because I want everyone to kind of just really ponder this for a second. Will Ospreay having one of the best in-ring calendar years that anyone's had, going all the way through the Omega matches, through the Shota Umino match, through everything else, Naito, Okada, on and on, Wembley Stadium, all that stuff. Who else, in this group's opinion, has had a year that is close to that? Maybe even you think is beyond that. Maybe someone you think has had a better year. Maybe someone's had a year that you think is close to this one. I don't want you to put it in the comments yet, because we could all read them and then we wouldn't be able to just talk about them. So ponder that for a little bit. We're going to come back to this topic later on in the show. When we come back to it, I would love to read in the comments what you guys think are some of the best in-ring calendar years wrestlers, an individual wrestler or tag team, we'll go with that, has ever had. I'm deeply curious to hear what people think about that. I have a couple that I'll get into. Right. So when we get back to that, about maybe 45 minutes to an hour or so, we'll come back to it. And of course, if you're watching this later and not live, we'd love to get your opinion in the comments. I'm really curious to hear what people think, because everyone's been talking about how this is among or the best year anyone's had. I want to hear some of the others, because there are some really great people that could be nominated for this. I'll bring mine. You guys bring yours when we come back to this, because if they just sit in the comments over here, we'll all see them. It won't be like a real conversation. So we'll come back to it, think about it, and maybe we'll have a little interactive thing here this week. I think that might be fun.
I'm excited for this. I think I might have one or two, but I'm going to throw them at the tail end after everyone else throws in there.
I mean, this is where we got.
What is it about me, guys? It's about you.
We got Vankin, we got Colin, we got Brad. Sam's here if she's able to stay. I mean, this should be great stuff. I'm really fired up about seeing the responses. So, all right. So we talked about the Wrestle Kingdom matches. Now, the app dropped today. We have a brand new NJPW World, a new interface. If you look at it on your PC, a dedicated app for both Android, iOS, and all of those things. I downloaded my app to both my phone and to my TV. Sam's going to be gone the later part of the show. Can you just go ahead and say my name? Yes, Sam, go ahead, because I would like go ahead. Since Sam's not going to be
send it in our Slack DM so we can grab it later without
there you go
on it.
That's a good idea, but I would love to hear yours. Absolutely want to hear yours. And so the New Japan, we have it on my Apple TV now. I have it on my iPhone. You can also get it on your Android. My first impression of it, I was thrilled when I opened up the app on my TV, and it looked just like the PC interface for the most part. It had, the new stuff, the recommended stuff, I loved all those things. It looked an awful lot like it did. It looked familiar. It looked intuitive if you're used to dealing with it on the website. So it wasn't just a total shakeup of everything. And I was excited about it. I thought it looked good. I thought it was fairly easy to navigate. So those were my early impressions. And I'm looking forward to watching a show on it so that if I go into another app, get a phone call or anything else, it doesn't knock New Japan off, because I was streaming it from, or casting it, I guess is the word, from my phone to the TV. Now I don't do that anymore. So it's sitting there right next to Netflix and Max and all those other things. So
it should make things a lot easier for watching these shows. And I think it's going to look better. All of the previous quality of footage that has not been upscaled or anything like that. But my understanding is that the quality going forward is going to be full HD in a lot of this. So I took some screen grabs of the entire thing. And so I'm going to kind of power through these real quick. As you can see, they have the familiar style with the banner shows at the top, and then the new releases and the recommendations. And that's all fine, well, and good. And then you go into it, and then you have a drop-down menu for the Power Struggle, which shows you all 10 shows or whatever, the episodes. I have not found yet an ability to download anything, which they said is coming, but it's not there yet.
Well, not everything is there, because here's an important thing.
No, they're not at all.
And by the way, here we go. The voice of New Japan Pro Wrestling in English, Walker Stewart, is here with us, and we're thrilled to have you, Walker. As a guy who has a lot to learn about NJPW, I'm loving this upgrade. It makes it so much more viewable. I'm very happy with it as well.
Streamlined. As you can see, we have all the shows that they've done in order all the way through. So if you wanted to do a chronological viewing of it, all you have to go is the main event of all these shows, or you can go even deeper into it. And then within it, you have every single show that you could go through all the way through. It does appear that if you are willing to watch Japanese commentary for some of these fight pay-per-views, you will be able to watch it on delay later on without watching it live. I believe that is the way it is. You might be able to watch it live, but I don't know if you're going to be that lucky.
So let's go over this, because there are a couple of comments here that I think are worth mentioning. And Colin has one here. When you scroll down the old website, there was a whole English section. It's gone as far as I can see. We're going to get to that in a second, because they've been careful to announce that this thing isn't complete as it is right now. Brad also mentioned switching from Japanese to English commentary is very easy. You can flip back and forth, and that's pretty nice. Now, here's what is here and what is coming. So from the New Japan official website, every event that aired on NJPW World from January 2021 to present, full event versions only, is there. Tokyo Dome Archive. So the January 4th Tokyo Dome Archive. Now that's important wording, not just Wrestle Kingdom, but remember January 4th has been the day from going back from before Wrestle Kingdom way back. So the January 4th Tokyo Dome Archive is there. The G1 Climax Finals arc, and that's all the matches that are currently on NJPW World. Sometimes they had interpromotional matches back in the day, and New Japan doesn't have the rights to all those, so not all of it's there. But anyway, G1 Climax Finals archives. All the matches that were on World have been migrated over. Same thing for the Dominion archive. So they also have full NJPW Strong on Demand archive, the AEW archive from April of 2022. That's for the folks in Japan only. Shinichi Champion, Shinichi-chan archive, the pay-per-view content, and 30 more of the most popular archived matches. So they just put the popular stuff and threw it on there. And then they have this at the bottom. As videos migrate to the new service, the archive will be added on a regular basis going forward. So they are going to continue to move things from the archives and to the new, and eventually everything that was on it before is going to be on it again. It's just not there yet. So if stuff's missing and things, I think they will get that.
Those doing the research and the deep dives and going like deep on rungs of guys are unfortunately going to be waylaid for a while. But you want to watch the key Dominion matches, G1 matches, Wrestle Kingdom matches. They pretty much have everything there for you, and then, it'll be okay. It's just going to take time.
When you hate my commentary, it's very easy to switch to Japanese. Best feature. I don't think there's going to be too much of that.
So you can go actually into the show and switch audio from English to Japanese within each broadcast now. It's kind of like you're watching Disney Plus or HBO Max. You just switch the commentary track to whatever one you like. That's great.
Yeah. That is very cool. I do like that. And let's see, Brad has some more information. Chris Charlton was on Twitter this morning answering a lot of questions. So going down his timeline,
I got a question.
Answer anything people might be wondering.
Are there subtitles?
Well, I mean, they're going to be on the
English subtitles, like English commentary. Will there be subtitles for English commentary? Because I'm old, and if I can get commentary at the bottom of the screen, like writing, if I'm understanding, so I don't have to rewatch things to catch what's said, I'm all for that. Like, I know that makes me sound old and uncool, but I love it when I have like the actual closed captioning underneath me as I'm going. And I'm just wondering, will there be closed captioning on here while we have Walker Stewart here?
I don't know if he
shot, right?
Well, maybe you should read Chris Charlton's timeline too. Maybe he'll tell you. Colin mentions we did have to change our password, which he said was a pain. Yeah, that's the. And I did not have
what it is, but
I was going to say I did have to put a special character in mine now. So it's the whole thing where it's the standard 8 characters, a letter, a number, and a special character in there. I had to throw a special character.
Well, is it an ampersand?
What? I can't tell you, can I? I'm not supposed to tell you those things.
Have we killed this conversation dead yet?
No. I think, but what I'm saying is I liked the interface on the screen quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I like the app on my phone quite a bit. I thought those were all good signs. Not everything is there yet. So as it comes in, like for instance, like this morning anyway, I couldn't search by decade. I like to go back into the 70s and when I'm doing research, sometimes for the historical portions of this show, I'll go back and watch old matches. That stuff's not there yet, but it's going to be. This is not a thing where we're starting fresh and all the other stuff's gone. They will be migrating that stuff over, and hopefully they will have that English ribbon as well down there too. So hopefully they'll bring that back. But they said they would. They said they would basically, bring that stuff along. They just can't do it all at once.
I got into New Japan, and I got into that New Japan World app. I was like, oof. This app is something else. And then July, August, we get the announcement we're getting a New Japan app. And it's kind of like Christmas morning. I'm not going to lie. It was like you get the app. You're like, I'm gonna check this thing out, give it a spin. And you're like, all right. It's going to make things a little bit easier. And that's all I can hope for is I don't care that it's being built as we speak. I am just very happy for a high quality app moving forward.
Yes, and it is nice that it's dedicated for specific phones and all that. So my only request for Bushi Road, please, I can't get on my knees because of the way this desk is. I'm begging you. Do Stardom World next. For the love of all that's good and holy. Fix that thing. Fix Stardom World.
They will so many more subs as soon as they do.
Please. I'll buy more tickets. I'll buy more paper. Whatever you want. I don't care what I got to do. Just do something about Stardom World. Love it.
We got any comments before we move on to the Lone Star Shootout?
I think that we got all that. Let's see. Let's see. I'm looking around for the comments there, but there was Lone Star Shootout is coming up. So anyway, all the content over there on the app. I think we can go to Lone Star Shootout. I think we've mentioned everything we're going to mention here, and we'll just have to see how the app comes along as it has items migrated over to it. So the Lone Star Shootout. I'm going to be there in person. We're both going to wrestling tomorrow night, Jeremy, live and in person.
Okay. You're going to Lone Star Shootout.
Yeah.
I'm going to Collision. I'll tell you what. I'm charging up my phone, and I'm going to be having Lone Star Shootout going on my phone while I'm at Collision. Because you know what? They haven't even announced more than, I think, 2 matches for a 3-hour show. And I know the entire card for Lone Star Shootout, including a grip of AEW stars that are going to be on this show instead. So I'm looking forward to having a good time. I'm having fun with my friends. I know what I'm getting from this Collision Rampage taping, and I'm way more excited for Lone Star.
Well, let's not bury the lead here. Wait a second. Look at this. So Vank and Bjorn saying, just give me English commentary on Stardom pay-per-view. Yes, please, all day. And look what we got here from Walker. Working on this.
Hey, now.
Working on this. That's exciting. That's
really
cool.
Is that a sneaky little eyebrow raise?
Oh my goodness, that would be wonderful. Oh man, my 2 favorite promotions. I can hear them. Yeah, that would be great. Let's hope that happens. Fingers crossed, everybody. The Bushy Road ends up doing that too. Man, we might have all kinds of good news on the show this week. So
we're going top to bottom on Lone Star or bottom to top?
Well, let's do it. Let's go the top to bottom. I think is where you have the slides, right?
I did, but I can go the other way. We can switch it up. We can get
Let's do top to bottom. Let's talk about the big stuff. So let's bring up those graphics here. And yes, so this is going up in Garland, Texas. There, come see me. Oh, and USVA guy is going to be at the Lone Star Shootout at the fan club table. So all right, hopefully I'll get a chance to say hi to you this time. I didn't know which one was.
You're gonna have to get a group photo with everybody. Everybody here on the show needs to go to Lone Star Shootout. Just take a group photo together, and we'll just post it on the show later.
So this is I'm going to take a nice 3.5-hour drive up to Garland, Texas for this one. Not too far outside of DFW area.
I think I'll be doing an hour and a half to Oakland tomorrow from San Jose.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, that they're doing Rampage live and Collision taped? It's interesting.
I don't know why they're doing the Collision tape, but I honestly think that in the Bay Area, they couldn't draw for 2 nights in a row, so they needed to do one together.
They're having trouble drawing 1 night in a row.
It's not pretty, but buy one, get one. So
hey, beautiful.
It will cost me more to watch the fight pay-per-view of AEW than it will to get in the door for AEW tomorrow.
That's intriguing. That is intriguing.
Yeah, it'll be $25, I think. Actually, the parking will cost more than both shows combined.
Now, this Lone Star Shootout's on Fight, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like $15, and then the buy one, get one is like $20 for 2. So $25 versus parking, which is probably going to be like $30. So it'll be a value-worthy effort towards watching pro wrestling tomorrow night. And I get to hang out with all my friends, which is great. That's the best part of it.
So I get to see Shingo Takagi again because he's going to be in the main event, never open weight championship match against Trent Beretta. So that's going to be nominally the main event of this one, we believe. And
such a weird match.
It's a very weird match. It was a strange challenge to come up there. Everyone just kind of went, who's going to challenge Shingo? Oh, okay. So, but we expect a retention here, right? I mean, Shingo's going to go into Wrestle Kingdom as the never open weight champion here. Sure. So, but Trent Beretta is a good wrestler. My point on Trent was never that he's not worthy of being in a big match. It's just that he's not exactly the most pushed guy in the world right now. So it's just kind of a random thing. It did. So I think this is going to be a hell of a good match. Shingo Takagi can work well with anyone. Trent Beretta is a good wrestler and a good worker. So I think what we're going to end up with is a good match and a good chance for the champion to get a title retention and pick it up and just go into Wrestle Kingdom with momentum. And I got no problem with that at all. And certainly none with seeing Shingo Takagi again after his match with Tama Tonga a couple weeks ago, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
So Trent, frankly underrated. And his association with Chuck Taylor kind of brings him down in a way because Chuck Taylor, I love the guy. I love Chuck Taylor, but for whatever reason, he is not doing what Trent Beretta is doing and Orange Cassidy is doing and Chris Statlander is doing. It's just not happening. So having Trent have an opportunity to do this out of nowhere, basically on a New Japan stage, is interesting because you're counting on his Roppongi lineage to really like the chaos and the Roppongi aspect of it, rather than like his AEW, because it stopped at the tracks going on with what he's got in AEW. I couldn't tell you the last interesting thing that he's had going on. But when he wants to get like hard and in a match, the dude can go. So I'm looking forward to the vicious kind of heelish Trent Beretta trying to restart that kind of thing, because there's no way Shingo Takagi get booed in this match. So I have to assume Trent Beretta is coming in here and just pissing everybody off. Has the potential to be a fantastic main event, but I think there was a misread of the room when they used him as a reveal at Sam's Town in order to get people excited for the next show.
Yeah, I don't know how else you do it than that, though. It's a tricky thing, but yeah, that did kind of fall a little bit flat. But it
is interesting. Of the 3 AEW stars, Trent Beretta is the main eventer.
And Brad mentions, do you think Shingo's Wrestle Kingdom opponent makes himself known after this one? Possible. I think that also might come a little bit down the road. I don't know if Lone Star Shootout on a pay-per-view on Fight is where they're going to choose to do the reveal for a Wrestle Kingdom match like that, especially if Shingo is going to be against a special opponent.
I think they might in the wings, right?
Yeah, and they seem to be leaning toward a rematch there, so they might announce that a little bit later, maybe around World Tag League-ish stuff.
There are a few matches that they need to do to fill out the World Tag League finals. Shingo and Tama Tonga for the finale a month before Wrestle Kingdom, to me, is the right amount of steam for that feud rather than ending it at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
How they go about and who the next person is going to be, I kind of think that there might be some reveals at Lone Star Shootout if it's not Nakajima, which with his match made for the 31st or the 30th casts a little bit of doubt for his All Japan Pro Wrestling his team. So we don't know, but I'm not I am not at maximum hype for Tama Tonga and Shingo Takagi one more time at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, I don't really think that's the Kingdom match. I think that might happen before. I feel like we might get Tama Tonga and Shingo in some sort of face-to-face at the end of this one, just to set up something, like you said, either at World Tag League Finals or somewhere in between. And then after that one, maybe Shingo's Wrestle Kingdom opponent becomes known. But because Dunn says, any chance we get a serve challenger for Shingo at the Dome instead of Tama for the Dome. Yeah, I think there is a chance for that. Yeah. I think there is a chance that something else is going on there, and we might see it. Now, if they decide to go with the rematch of Tama Tonga at the Tokyo Dome, Wrestle Kingdom isn't normally where they like to do that kind of thing, but we are getting a rematch in one of the biggest matches on there, the Okada Danielson thing, although I wouldn't put Tama Tonga challenging for the Never Openweight title in that dream match category, certainly.
Is there a guy in New Japan that would be a good opponent for Shingo to go into Wrestle Kingdom? Is there a guy right now that you would kind of like, he's ready for this?
Well, there's a bunch. I mean, the issue is the one guy that would probably be really good is in this faction. But, I suppose you could do something like see, they've already done he and Taichi. Yeah. Uemura, maybe. I mean, we all know what we're hoping for, right? That they make a deal for Nakajima,
right?
But
I mean, Yota Tsuji doesn't quite work. It doesn't feel like Ren Narita and Shota Umino, that's what their track is. Yeah. And then there's nobody in the mid-card / upper mid-card with Finley kind of taking that lead. And I certainly don't want it to be Evil versus Shingo Takagi. And that really, like, if it's no one else, they're going to tease Evil and like really troll us until like they pull the rug out. Actually, it's this guy.
Now, Nakajima, who's the guy we've kind of been hoping for, just we want to see that match, won the All Japan Triple Crown That doesn't preclude him from being at Wrestle Kingdom. They've had the Triple Crown champion on, and they've beaten him before. So Colin says he's kind of gutted that he's gone to AJPW. Hope it's just a short-term thing. Might be. And, of course, they do work with these other companies, so it's possible. Maybe we're all just more hoping than anything else.
Yeah.
Brad saying a rematch with Hanare. Could be. We've got Gabe Kidd gets a vote here from Dunstan.
Shingo Takagi and Jeff Cobb.
No, I wouldn't complain about that a bit. That wouldn't be bad at all.
Match.
And then Shingo Takagi versus Tom Lawler or Fred Rosser from Bobby Batito. Hey, Bobby. Hey, good to see you. Yeah, glad you're. And you said hi earlier. I'm sorry, Bobby. I should have said hi when you mentioned it. Well, well, I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, there's a lot of things going on higher up the card. You could do something like that.
I like Shingo Takagi versus Jeff Cobb for the never title. Yeah. If nothing else, if there's a guy on the roster that we're gonna fall up on, I'm going Takagi and Jeff Cobb. If it's a guy on the roster. Hi, Paul.
Yeah, and then Grandpa Des says, Walker, catching up with the tournament shows, listening to you first. Great job, really enjoying your work. Yes, I think we all are doing a good job.
That's our own Paul Fontaine.
Yes, it is.
The Dynamite Show and
Grandpa
in the Clinch.
Des. Always makes me smile. And Dunstan says Nakajima will be busy with Tag League in All Japan. So we only got a month or so to announce the match. So
I think beginning of December kind of feels like when we're going to be finding out the next round of matches that are going to flesh out the rest of this Wrestle Kingdom card.
Yeah. All right. And there we go. What else next? Yes. See, this is the match. To be honest, this is the one that put my rear end in the seat. I am going to get to see one of the greatest Joshi wrestlers of all time, Mayu Iwatani, defend her title, the IWGP Women's Championship, against Stephanie Vaquer. And Vaquer is an up-and-coming luchadora. She's been fantastic. She was really good at Power Struggle. She's upped her game quite a bit and started off pretty good, by the way, and has only gotten better. This should be a terrific match, but, this could be a cardboard cutout against Mayu Iwatani, and I would have shown up to watch it because I really think that much of her. So very little doubt in my mind that this is a showcase match here. I don't think Vaquer is going to take the title, although I suppose it could. I have a theory on where the title change is going to come.
I want to hear this because I've been thinking of
you still think Mayu's losing?
She could win this match.
Maybe.
It would be the upset of the show in a lot of ways, where you're just like, if there's a match which a title could change, and with all the politics and everything going on with Stardom, and they're just like, we're just going to put the belt on Stephanie moving forward, I think there's a real argument for that. She's that good.
I would like to see Stephanie hold this title, but maybe not quite yet. How about that? And Bobby says it's great to see Vaquer wrestling for the IWGP Women's Championship. And Dunstan says that, to be honest, this should be the main event. In my mind, it kind of is.
Yeah,
it really is the match I bought the ticket for.
This match is going to blow people away. And they've done their best to kind of hold off on really just letting Stephanie Vaquer just loose. If that's and I think this is going to be a big night for her. Okay. Win or lose. A lot of people, there's a lot more effort to put her front and center because Monet ain't going to be around forever. They only got Julia for a few days. And if you've seen Stephanie wrestle, she's the real deal.
Well, let's not have Julia out the door yet. Let's not have Julia out the door.
I'm just she's not going to be able to fill all the dates that domestic New Japan stateside are going to want her to do. She's going to be in San Jose against Trish Adora, presumably. So it's entirely possible that, they are looking for a new women's ace, and she could be that person.
It's a thought. We'll see how it goes there. So Vengan doesn't think she's losing, but you make a compelling case. So we'll see how it goes. I'm still leaning toward a Mayu retention right here, but we'll see.
And it probably will happen. But if there's a shot of it happening,
Dunstan is asking if we discussed this, but what are your thoughts on Mayu not defending the title at Wrestle Kingdom? Hearing that belt wasn't going to be a Kingdom, I was flat out disappointed. But I've been conditioned to it in that I've been disappointed with the way New Japan has integrated this stuff from the beginning. I don't think they've done a good job with it. Their heart is obviously not in it. Rossi seems a little fed up with it, with the way some of this stuff has gone down. Let's face it, this whole idea of having a really great Stardom match within a New Japan concept hasn't panned out the way any of us were hoping. I'm disappointed. I was hoping to see a big match there with Mayu and a top contender. And it just looks like right now they are just not feeling it. We're just not into each other at this point.
Foisted upon title, and the sooner that they are not having to worry about it, I feel like they are not going to want to worry about it.
Yeah. So, and then Brad mentions another thing that they really need to get to eventually. It's like, when are we going to be getting the team announcements for World Tag League? That needs to come here pretty damn soon.
We got that rainy day show coming up in a couple of days. They might be throwing.
But that's not televised. That's not televised.
But they might
that's a house
announce it
show.
anyways.
It's a house show.
Throw it out there.
And we're going to talk about Anjo and the rainy days thing and how it ties into Okada here in a little bit later. So, Bankin also says, who I want to see versus Mayu is Hashimoto. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun too. That's a good one. All right, moving on to this one, we are going to have a new World Television or an NJPW World Television Champion. I don't think we're going to have a new champion here. Zack Sabre Jr. against Mike Bailey. Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm really fired up about seeing this one as well. And the thing about Mike Bailey, to have a guy you can bring in who's that good, who's that exciting, and who you can beat, New Japan doesn't have to protect him, and they haven't.
Right.
And so they don't have to. He's a TNA guy, right? And we're calling it TNA again now. And, Zack is a guy who is piling up all these title defenses. He already has Hiroshi Tanahashi basically lined up for the very near future, possibly at the Dome. And this is just going to be a really good match that I think Sabre's going to win. Of course, there's always that possibility of the time limit draw out there. But I kind of expect Zack to win just because they don't need to protect Bailey. He's not a New Japan guy. And they can beat him. So, but Bailey's always fun. He's always exciting. This should be a very interesting clash again. And Zack works well with everyone. So, Jeremy, I'm fired up.
16th title defense. Is that what we're at right now?
I think we're up there, yeah.
20 before the end of the year. So we got Speedball, we got Tanahashi, we got whoever he's facing at Wrestle Kingdom, which I don't think is Tanahashi, but I would have no problem if it were, because they've been going back and forth for the last 4 or 5 months, trading wins and matches here and there.
I understand what you mean. I just don't know. I'm really curious to see what Tanahashi does if not that. Not saying you're wrong, but they would have to have something for Tanahashi. That's the thing.
We are actively getting to the point where we have to be realistic about what Tanahashi's spot is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom.
He's gonna be on the card though.
He's gonna be on the card somewhere, but he could be in a lower level tag, and it may not be a singles match, because there are guys that are coming up that roster that are steamrolling their way into these singles matches that we kind of have to make room for right now. And it's the realistic factor of it. So I am back to this match. and Speedball are in the running for who's the second best wrestler in the world right now.
right. Yeah.
And
what could go wrong? Find
out. And if that's how you want to build this match and go on, let's have fun, because it will be a different match than Speedball and Ospreay was. And it'll be a different match than Zack Sabre Jr. and Ospreay was. But when these two styles go together, there is going to be a different level of magic, and it may not feel as important as the other two matches, but I'd put money on it feeling just as special.
And, the thing you mentioned here, Will Ospreay should win Outstanding Wrestler of the Year, or what are we doing? He might win both that and Wrestler of the Year. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not trying to campaign. My point is, if Will Ospreay weren't having the Will Ospreay year, these two men would be in contention for Outstanding Wrestler of the Year with the years they've had and the variety of opponents and the matches that they've had. And they're still going to get votes, and they're still going to be pretty high up.
These two have probably been the most prolific singles wrestlers of the entire year. There are, I can think of people who've wrestled 15, 20 matches, top level. I think these guys have wrestled, more than that, especially with the G1. Zack Sabre Jr. has had at least 30 to 40 singles matches this year. This guy's been insane. And
then we go back to that, and both of them have had classics or really close to classics with Ospreay this year. Yeah, so it's been such an exciting year for that.
You've got this measuring stick, and then they both have already measured to him. So what are they going to measure against each other? It's just an unreal, triumvirate of talent.
And Sam says Speedball says he actually watches TV. Well, there you go. All right. Well, that's why he should be the TV champion.
There was an old Marvel character named Speedball, and all he did was bounce off of him with like kinetic energy.
Right.
And so when Speedball called himself Speedball Mike Bailey, I never thought about the drug aspect of it. I thought about this like Marvel character, and it's like, yeah, he does bounce off of everything, and that's all right. That character had some dark endings in down the line, but when he was fun and bright, good times.
It's an interesting point too. Is like I can't see Zach just laying around like binge watching Netflix. Can't do it. Just can't see it. So maybe we need a new TV channel.
I could
for that reason. Really? What's Zach binging exactly?
I don't know, but I could.
You don't know, do you?
I could see him watching The Bear.
No, he's looking around Tokyo for a vegan restaurant, and he's doing. He's working out. That's what
I see him watching that that kitchen drama with the guy from Iron Claw and Jeremy, whatever.
All right. Before we get out of hand with these comments here, this is Colin says Mayu will probably defend the belt at Stardom show on January 4th. Man, I tell you what, I would love. It's a bucket list thing for me to go back to Japan in the first place. I would love to go back, even though the weather's crap, in January, because there are so many great wrestling shows that way. It's starting to become an unofficial festival. Something, the way WrestleMania does, where these other promotions put things together on the same weekend and things. And right now, most of the major promotions have a big show somewhere near Wrestle Kingdom time. And what a week to be in Japan right there. So for the folks that are going over, try to see some of these other promotions as well while you're there. Why not? Go to Tudo-Okan, do the whole thing, make it a festival.
I just realized, like, if you really wanted to, you could start watching wrestling at like 8 p.m. on January 3rd with the Stardom show, because they're going earlier before Wrestle Kingdom. So they're probably going to be going 7 or 8 p.m. Pacific time. And then you're just going to be going right into Wrestle Kingdom. And then we'll probably be doing a live show the next morning. It's gonna be a marathon on your birthday, Steven.
Yeah, I might not sleep for a while there. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be a hell of a birthday. Sam, didn't he give up his TV like 10 years ago?
They can watch stuff on their phone.
That sounds familiar to me, though. It sounds familiar that he gave up. He seems like the kind of guy that would just say, "I'm not watching TV. Bugger off. I'm not looking at this crap."
A modern day monk giving up material.
Let's look at some of these other comments. We got some good ones. There's Paul's mentions. He says those two in a 15-minute match will be incredible, and he would love to see Claudio versus Zach at the Dome. Oh, yes, please. That'd be good. That'd be good. I like that idea.
I was thinking about where we would put Claudio if we did a Claudio match.
There's a guy that needs to be in.
I have another thought about that.
Claudio needs to be in the damn G1. He's
absolutely.
Oh. Bailey, I hope comes to New Japan more often in 2024 from Dunstan. Us too. We would love to see more of them over there. And what is Zack Sabre watching on TV? Venkin sends old Bryan Danielson tapes.
I'd love to see Claudio and Ishii in the Dome.
Oh man,
that's my match. Circle that one and just have those two go at it.
This is so much fun. Back to the Lone Star Shootout. We have a special tag match, and this is a preview for the Dome match we talked about earlier. We have Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta from the Blackpool Combat Club against the Bullet Club's David Finlay and Kenta. So not too much to think about here. It's going to be a preview tag. One of them is going to finish off the partner of the other. No, Finlay ain't laying down. Neither is Moxley. It's probably what Wheeler Yuta is there for. Although
going into oblivion, right into oblivion.
But the whole point is to whet the appetite and to give these guys some reps against each other a little bit. And we've seen how guys that don't have a whole lot of matches against each other, like Sanada and Naito, who stood next to each other and were in the corner for a lot, but didn't have a lot of matches against each other, have developed a bit of a rhythm over the last month. And so it's good to have these reps here. These preview tags are useful, even though sometimes they can get a little repetitive when you're completists like us and watch every single thing. But it'll be good for Moxley and Finlay to get in there and roll around a little bit, figure out what they're going to do in the Dome. So I'm looking forward to seeing a bit of a preview here for that.
This is going to be a fun match. Everybody knows exactly what this match is going to be. It is just going to be a bunch of guys hitting each other hard. It's not going to be a spectacle. It's not going to be a 5-star. We're all talking about it the next day. Finley's going to walk away with the win. Like, it's not the match that everyone's here to see, but it's the match we need to have to set up the Tokyo Dome. And that's totally fine. And it's just amusing how many AEW people are on this damn show and not at Collision and Rampage this week.
That's true.
You got to make your partners happy. I get it.
That's a good point. I think they maybe can we check the timeline on this? Did they book this before Punk got kicked out of the company? Like, maybe I'm busy that night. I just don't know. But no, let's see what these.
The one night they had to pay the piper, and I get it. I'm just surprised that Tony Khan actually made the deal to make this happen.
Venkin mentions time limit draw here. Venkin, are you talking about the TV title match or this one? Which one are you looking at? I'm curious to hear. And Dunstan
they're
mentions
not going 30 minutes.
No, they're not going 30. Kenta and Ishimori feel so out of place in the Bullet Club War Dogs right now. I agree with you, and I've been saying for weeks that Ishimori needs to leave Bullet Club and get a new coat of paint and something. I wonder
if they ice him past Wrestle Kingdom and do exactly that.
I think there might be something like that just because of the way he was acting in his match with Hiromu Takahashi was not very Bullet Clubby. Yeah, and wearing white too, predominantly white, which isn't mind-blowing, but it's the very few things in New Japan happen by accident. I think there could be something like that. And Richard mentions, will the tag match main event this show? Good question as to what might go last. That's a fair question.
No, I think this was in the order of from New Japan. I set it up as the order of matches. By the way, Richard on our Discord asked straight up if this match would happen on the show. And I was like, I don't know. I think that probably might keep these guys away from each other a little bit. Fair play to Richard. He saw this match coming a mile away, and I certainly didn't. So good on you, my man.
Venkin said it'll end around 18 minutes then. Venkin laying down an over-under right there. I'll take the under on that, by the way. I think it'll probably go about 15.
All right.
We have the Strong Openweight Championship on the line. Eddie Kingston and Satoshi Kojima as the Eddie Kingston bucket list train continues to roll around the country and the world as it is. He's going to have a match with Satoshi Kojima. Of course, one of Eddie's signature spots is doing the Kojima chops sometimes in the corner. He likes to do that, especially in his New Japan matches. He gets a match with the legend Cozy here. I think this could be terrific. Kojima is one of those guys that is in his 50s but still wrestles so well and is such a good, smart worker. It's not going to be the match of the night, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be really good. And we're all kind of living vicariously through Eddie right now as he gets to do all these things that he's always wanted to do. And most of us are just thrilled for him. I know I am. And I think it's going to be fun for him to get this match with Kojima. I think he'll win. I don't think they're going to switch the title right here, but a match with Eddie and Kojima, these guys know how to work. It's going to be good.
This is the greatest year of Eddie Kingston's life. He is basically just had a blast. The G1. He recovered from his hernia surgery, and now he's just going down the catalog of, I want to wrestle that guy. Can I wrestle that guy? Oh, do you think you can make time to wrestle this guy? And everyone's just opening up their calendars. Hey, go do this, this, or that. They could certainly use him more in AEW, but it seems like they're just letting him run free in New Japan, having a great campaign here. I'm not even sure who in AEW is even paying attention to what he's doing over in New Japan. It feels like it's just two different Eddie Kingstons. But for a while, Eddie Kingston gets to have his signature Eddie Kingston match against Satoshi Kojima, who's going to have his signature Kojima match, and they're going to mesh great. It's going to be just a fun 10, 12 minutes of them chopping each other, doing powerball. The meaty men slapping meat kind of match that everyone's getting all excited about. Big men doing power moves, getting up, yelling, screaming, going right back to it. You know what this match is going to be, and we're all going to have some fun.
Sam says Kojima rules. And one of the great careers in wrestling history, we mentioned it on the show before when we did the history of Kojima. He has won all three major Japanese titles: GHC, Triple Crown, and IWGP. He's won all three tournaments. He's won everything. And of course, in one of the great tag teams of all time as well, with Tenzan. So just a guy that's done it all, and it hasn't beaten him down the way it has other people, including some that are a hell of a lot younger than him. Kojima can still go, and Eddie's doing great as the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship, according to Bobby. Yep, totally agree. I think he's been fabulous, and he has that doesn't he, Jeremy? Yeah, and Brad's wondering if he goes to the Dome and who he faces. The thing is, Jeremy, how many people in wrestling, it's a short list, that connect with the fans the way Eddie does. It seems like no matter what he does, the fans get into it. They believe him. They feel what he feels. And he's almost like an AEW, very different style worker and very different style promo, but it's almost the way Sami Zayn can bring everybody along with him every step of the way. It's just the sympathy, even though they're two totally different people, you're on board with every word and every move that these guys do.
Brad has a question here about who Eddie works the Dome and who he faces.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, when I was thinking about it, I was wondering, would you have Eddie Kingston and Hiroshi Tanahashi at the Dome?
Oh, well, I mean, that's a possibility right there.
That feels like the dream match and just the right level of match for Hiroshi Tanahashi. And, if he's going to do this campaign and maybe drop the title into the new year, and he gets to run against these guys, and he gets to cap it off with the title match against Hiroshi Tanahashi at the Dome, that seems like a hell of a 2023 run for Eddie Kingston. And given that he's been facing all these older legends in New Japan Pro Wrestling, it might actually be that direction.
And Sam says, maybe you'll have time to wrestle on Honor Club someday. Oh, maybe so. Maybe so. That's just Honor Club, bless your heart. It's just such a strange little thing where you've got one of the best workers in the world in Athena that's on that thing, seemingly every single week, and can't get her on national television.
I applaud people that can watch Honor Club, because I've committed to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it takes up so much of my time that there's just no way that I can go in on Ring of Honor as well. So I tip my cap to those that can make the time for Ring of Honor and are fully invested, because I know and I understand that the Athena run, along with her partnership with Billy Starks, is incredibly compelling watch right now. And if you are able to make the time for it, I know you're getting rewarded for it.
Another Texas person there, Athena. Always a big fan of hers. Well, I mean, it's a fair point, though, with that, to see what Eddie does. We have another suggestion. Dunson says Shingo versus Eddie in a unification match. And as far as that Honor Club stuff goes, if you don't need another reason to watch Power Bombshells, you already know why you should. But Sunday at 1 p.m., they cover everything. I don't know when they sleep. I'm not sure they do.
I have a belief with the strong title that's supposed to be representative of the U.S. market, and that's why the NJPW U.S. title is more or less going away, as is the UK designation, and they're going to come up with a new title. For the U.S. territories, I think that strong title is not going anywhere anytime soon, and it's going to get a lot of prestige going forward.
And what we have here is Mistico against TJP in a one-fall 30-minute time limit match. Mistico, we've been over his story, his complicated story on the show before. TJP, and what you're really looking at here are two guys who have been very good for a very long time and still wrestle at a high level. And so I think this is going to be a terrific match. And just another example of two really good workers getting in the ring together. There's no real story here. There is not a title on the line. Mistico is a champion in Mexico. That belt's not on the line. But who's going to complain about seeing two workers who really know what they're doing getting in there with each other, and not a matchup you see a lot? This is a fresh match.
Mm-hmm. This is going to be, I'm not the biggest TJP fan, but he has done a hell of a great job wrestling this year, selling injuries, compelling stories, matches, whatnot. And Mistico is just come back on the scene in a big way in the last couple months. And I think this is part of his re-breakout of 2023. And I think it's going to continue with probably a pretty good high-flying lucha style match.
Yeah, and Sam mentions the perks of being a night owl. I used to be a night owl, and then I got a puppy, and now I have to try to go to bed. That puppy gets me up. Now, daylight savings time just switched back. We fell back. We haven't quite gotten the dog to learn how to read a clock yet. So now he's bright and early at 6:15 every morning, just instead of 7:15. We're still working on that. Oh, goodness. I used to sleep.
Yeah, daylight savings, because the dog doesn't understand that, no, it's not feeding time. And they look at you like, no, it's feeding time.
Yeah.
Like, We're going to work on this for a couple of days.
Yeah, he's not giving up on the idea of convincing us it's feeding time either, by the way. Let's see. Richard asks, well, what's the plan for Ishii at Wrestle Kingdom? Well, we don't know, do we? I mean, we only have a few matches for Kingdom, and there are a lot of interesting choices out there.
My
Here's
dream is
one
Claudio.
Yeah, and also Eddie and Jeff Cobb for the strong openweight title from Bobby. He suggests that one. So what we're seeing here is we've got a pool of names, don't we? And we've got things like Eddie, Tanahashi, Ishii, Cobb, and we're all hoping for Nakajima, but Shingo is in this mix
and trying
here too.
not to invoke evil, but we know he's going to be somewhere waiting.
Yeah, right. Too. Yeah, I know we're trying to avoid that, but this
I
is
was
the
trying
point.
not to speak Shingo versus evil into the world, but that could be it.
Yeah. And, it's one of these things where they could come up with any combination of these guys and it wouldn't be too bad. The only one I don't think we're going to get is Shingo and Ishii just because you saw it so recently. Mm-hmm. But any combination of these guys might be a lot of fun. It's fun to speculate about this stuff. What else do we have here? Brad mentions Mistico and TJP should be fun. TJP is an incredible talent. Outside the ring, not the best, but inside, very few better. That's fair enough. Dunson says, I can see an angle after the match with the War Dogs attacking TJP.
That's
yeah.
true.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Darn right about that. And Brad says, maybe a topic for later if Ospreay leaves NJPW, what happens to United Empire? A new leader? Will Cobb resign? So much up in the air. Those questions and more to be decided down the line. Yeah, because I'm sure we'll be talking a lot
pretty much
about
Storm Watch. Stormbreaker Watch.
And we also have more matches for Lone Star. We're getting to these. Strong Openweight Tag Team Championship match. ELP and Hikuleo against Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs. I'm calling it right here. I think this is the title change. I think this is when they switch. This one, I think this one might be. If I have to put odds on, as I knock my microphone over, one of my favorite teams right now is Hikuleo and ELP. They're really smooth together. They're really good. Nelson and Isaacs are excellent together. However, I think going into World Tag League, they might lift the burden of the strong openweight tag team titles from them. And it's one of those things where it just makes a lot of sense. Again, strong openweight tag team championship, supposed to be based more in the U.S. Nelson and Isaacs based more in the U.S. Little team filthy love here. And I think this could be the one. If I were laying down odds on which title changed hands, this would have the shortest odds anyway.
So you think this is the match where they might change titles? I think the Stephanie Vakir match is where they might change titles. I am really big on, no pun intended, I'm big on the Guerrillas of Destiny team here of Hikuleo and ELP. I don't think that they are going to pivot to having them lose belts before they're going into World Tag League. I think they're kind of going to come out of World Tag League looking like a really strong team. There aren't a whole lot of established tag teams in New Japan Pro Wrestling as there have been in the past. Like
you got Bishamon, TMDK.
You got Bishamon, you got TMDK, and you got these guys. And then you start getting into teams that you're going to have to make together. Like you're putting probably Shingo and Yodatsuchi together. You're going to be putting Ren Narita and Shota Umino together. Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata. Going into the World Tag League, the amount of actually established tag teams that they have that like you think are viable tag team contenders, I wouldn't have them lose going into it because I think they're one of the few teams that New Japan actually has right now that can be considered a viable babyface team.
Okay, we'll see what we got. We also have the War Dogs, by the way. That's legitimate. Kid and Coughlin.
Yeah.
Bobby Petito said, I'd like to see Nelson and Isaacs in World Tag League.
I'd love to see them in it too, but I feel like if they're going in it, they're there to lose a lot. And if they're going to have they can't lose a lot. And
they said they should be in Japan. The heavyweight tag division needs some new teams. Well, I think we're getting some new teams. I think that's one of the things I think we are getting some new teams out there. And a lot of people would like to see. Brad said he's going to be heartbroken if they don't get the titles here. So
I know get it for a buddy, and if it happens, I'm going to be happy for you.
So and then let's see. Yano and Tana. Yeah, Brad mentions Yano and Tanahashi. Yeah, that'll almost certainly happen with the with Yano and Hiroshi, which comes out of a manga, I guess, there. And Sam's headed out, but we're going to find out very, very soon what she thought. We're the best. Thank you for joining us, Sam. We really appreciate it. And remember,
Sam, you can close the comments here. We're good at this time.
We're at that point. Yeah. And Richard has a question here that I think is worth getting into since we're kind of spitballing here this week. Triple threat matches in NJPW are so rare, but considering they're doing Mox, Finley, and Will at Wrestle Kingdom, do you think we see more of these in 2024? Or is it just the circumstance of Will leaving? They tend to do more 4-ways than 3-ways, don't they? They like those 4-corner things, especially in the junior heavyweight ranks. They like doing those. So I do feel like this match has more to do with circumstance, and that they don't want to beat Will necessarily on the way out, or yet. Anyway,
he may not even lose this match. They could.
He might not.
They could deke us 3 times, and just he walks right out, and he doesn't lose the title for another month.
Yeah, but I do think it is a way of getting Finlay into a major match. And I think what they wanted to do was Finlay and Will would be a major match. Finlay and Mox would be a major match. But I think this is a way of I think at that point, he is the B side of any of that. And with this, it kind of makes it more of an event that we're still going to get Ospreay and Moxley, and the drama of will Finlay do something to heal his way into a victory. And you're establishing a new championship, which is why I don't think Will's winning the match, because they're trying to establish a new title. If they weren't, then he would just retain. It would just be for the US.
This was a title defense rather than the establishment of a new title.
But I also don't think they want to pin him.
This is the inaugural blank champion.
But I also think the fall will be decided between Finlay and Mox in one direction or the other. That's just my guess.
They did go pretty heavy that Mox hasn't been pinned since 2019 in a New Japan ring. And if you wanted to do one more match afterwards, if Finlay beats Mox, where, on his way out, and ends up being Finlay and Ospreay one-on-one, and Ospreay does the job trying to win the title, but doesn't, and that's his last match proper in New Japan, that's certainly a way that you could go, because his contract is up in February. It isn't up in January.
Yeah, and Richard says it feels like the circumstance of Will leaving, having Mox in a major match, and eventually further establishing Finlay. Yeah. Again, my thing with Finlay is he's my odds-on favorite early on with months to go of winning the New Japan Cup, or at least being heavily involved in the New Japan Cup. I think that's a great way to launch him going into the summer as well. So we also have this one, and it goes right into what we're talking about with the Bullet Club, because it's Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Kushida, and Kevin Knight against the War Dogs, Gabe Kidd, Alex Coughlin, Clark Connors, and Chase Owens in this one. So, and this is one that you mentioned, Brad says, sticking out in the War Dogs, Chase Owens sticks out more than Ishimori and Kenta. It's an interesting thing because Chase has established himself as the pliable suck-up. Like whoever the leader is the greatest leader of all time. He's just such a little sycophant. There's a little kiss ass to whoever the Bullet. Jay White was the greatest until Finlay took over. Now Finlay's the greatest, and he's just a smarmy little weasel that just kind of pokes around the Bullet Club right there. He's got that down for his character. So it's what's allowing him to hang on with Bullet Club a little bit there is just his undying loyalty to the brand more than anything else. So.
I like that he's not like sniveling about it. He's just kind of like, okay, I can get on board with this. You want me to do what? You want me to break this guy's leg? Well, I'll try. Sure, no problem.
King's dead, long live the king, right? There you go. So Venkin thinks the Bullet Club wins this one. I don't think whoever wins this one is all that important. But I do think that
given that Tama Tonga is trying to get a never title shot for Shingo,
that's where I
kind of see Tama beating Chase Owens
and then having some sort of stare down, probably not an attack. Tama Tonga's a babyface and so Shingo, but some sort of stare down for that never open weight title at some point in the evening, I think will probably be the thing. Just to
we'll probably end up having some kind of match between Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin, between Tangaloa and Tama Tonga, if I had to read the room on this properly. But, I just see Tama Tonga beating Chase Owens, given that he's the only one on trajectory right now with the match.
Dunson says it just feels like Ghetto can't be bothered to clarify who's in Bullet Club. Well, I think we know who's in. I think we know who's in and who's out now. I think they've pretty much established that House of Torture is its own thing now. I really don't think that they're part of Bullet. They really aren't in the tags together anymore. I think they've kind of clarified that. It's just a matter of, does everyone belong in it? And maybe not long term. I really think that, there's a chance that Ishimori could be heading
We
out
also
there.
need to keep in mind that the actual plot point of what happens at Wrestle Kingdom may be deciding factors for its storyline, what these wrestlers' directions decide to be going into 2024. So the whole idea of what cause and effect is a big part of this. Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Jeremy's been joined by his dog. And we also have this one.
Match.
Toru Yano and Joey Janela. Now, okay, I have decided, Jeremy, to put a happy face on this. Okay? Here's my thought on this. And this is what I'm going with.
Screen while we talk about this one. We have to subject everybody to this.
One, you got to go to the merch stand and say hi to USVA guy at some point, right? So at the welcome stand, I mean. So maybe I'll do it during this match. But I don't think they would. Here's what I'm telling myself. I don't know if it's true. Would they send Toru Yano all the way across the ocean just to have like a weird 3-minute silly? Like, there's going to be something creative going on here. Maybe that'll be how this goes. The bad news is anything creative has to do with Joey Janela, who I don't like. He's just not my taste. Don't like the guy. Don't like his work and all that. So I don't know. Look, wrestling is a variety show. You don't have to like every act. This match for me is one to be tolerated more than enjoyed.
This feels like we're going to get a lot of Joey Janela high spots that fail and crash and burn with Toru Yano picking up the pieces. Because I legitimately do not see Toru Yano doing a whole lot of bullshit that's going to hurt himself, which is a lot of what Joey Janela's matches are. Mm-hmm. So the conclusion I'm going to draw is Joey Janela is going to be doing a lot of work to hurt himself to get this match over, because that's how he thinks people are going to be wanting to see his match. So
it seems to be, Bobby says it's great to see Joey Janela wrestling in New Japan. So
not what I was expecting to see when I saw the preview at the Fighting Spirit Unleashed. I was like, oh, okay, sure.
Benkin wants him in Bullet Club. He says he should join Bullet Club. Just imagine
honestly, that. Janela and Chase Owens as a tag team, there are worse ideas.
All right. Well, there you go. All right. What else? Is there anything else here? Yes, of course.
We got a couple of. We got a. Zoom in.
Here's the lucha match. A little bit of a lucha match with Tiger Mask thrown in. We have Atlantis, Mascara Dorada, and Tiger Mask against Ultimo Guerrero, Rocky Romero, and Hechicero. So that'll just be.
Are we continuing the 40th anniversary trend on this one?
Right. And, this one will be probably about 10 minutes, and everyone will get their stuff in and hit some signature spots, and it'll be just fine. It'll probably be good. And Fred Rosser against Tom Lawler. Now, this one would have main evented one of these shows not all that long. In fact, it did, didn't it? With the whole chase with Fred Rosser to Filthy Tom, when Tom, that feels like a long time ago now, doesn't it? When he was the NJPW Strong Champion. And here it is. Singles match open in the jerking the curtain now with a match that would have main evented a few years ago. But two talented men.
I want to say Brad in the Discord suggested it, but if it wasn't Brad, and you are in the chat right now, take credit for this. Somebody thinks that this match is going to lead to these two teaming up into the World Tag League.
Wow. That's an intriguing thought, especially after all they've been through with each other. A bit of mutual respect breaks out. It's the Odd Couple year, right?
I think
it's the year of the Odd Couple.
Yes,
it's the 100%. Year of the Odd Couple.
But we have that going on in a lot of ways. So if we had that in the American version, but they also Tom Lawler gets the rug pulled out of him from under him a lot. So if that didn't happen, I'd be bummed. But it was a great idea when I heard it. I wanted to, shout out the idea because it's a great reason to have this match.
All right. There you have it. And then we have, this will be the opener here, Barrett Brown and Matt Vandegrift. We saw Matt at Las Vegas in the opener there against Buck Skinner. And, this is the two guys that are part of the LA dojo. So they get a little bit of ring time here in front of the fans in the opener. So we're looking forward to seeing what these guys have. Barrett Brown new, I haven't seen him before. So that'd be nice.
All right. Okay. So that's the end of the card. I got a couple other slides from a couple matches coming up, but
so while we're doing
that thing that we were doing earlier.
Yes. So now go ahead and give us your nominations here in the chat for the Will Ospreay nominations for best year ever. And we will go into some of these things that Jeremy was just talking about, some of these events coming up, and then we'll start reading these off in the chat and talk about them as they come in. But Rainy Days Anjo. So this is in Kazuchika Okada's hometown. And this is a show that's basically a house show. It's one of those deals a little bit. It's a little bit like Taichi Mania or when Hiromu Takahashi promoted his own show. And he recently served as the honorary chief of the Anjo police station for the day. Okada did. Very proud of their native son, of course. That's according to a post-wrestling article by Andrew Thompson there. And so this is not going to be on World as far as we can tell, but it's a house show in Anjo. And if you look on the NJPW site, they have tickets available, but no card announced for this one. It's Saturday. The show is Saturday, but Okada going back to his hometown. So that's just kind of a cool little thing there. And then we have this one, New Japan Road. This will be coming up in Yamagata. That's coming up in the 17th. King of Pro Wrestling title on the line. Taichi challenging Show again. No stipulations have been announced as of yet, so we will find out. But the King of Pro Wrestling title, Taichi against Show, and I suppose we'll be looking at the stipulations next week. But right now, we don't know what those are. What either guy is offering up as stipulations for this one, and I kind of shudder to think about it a little bit because Show was talking about how Taichi put some sort of a hex or a voodoo curse on the title, and that's why he lost at the Best of the Super Junior Tag or at Super Junior Tag League. And let's hope they don't go that direction, huh? We don't need that. Anyway, what else do we have? So we have on New Japan Road, we'll be seeing the never openweight 6-man champions Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii against Honma, Ren Narita, and Ryusuke Taguchi. This is a bit of a Honma anniversary thing. And if we have time next week, Jeremy, we haven't really talked a lot about Tomoaki Honma, who's had a very interesting career in pro wrestling. I think it might be fun if we go back and do a little Honma history if we have time next week to talk, because this show will be coming up when we do our show next week. So maybe a little bit of a Honma look back when we return here, because fascinating guy. Has been through a lot.
What he has been able to overcome and persevere through has been utterly amazing. And there are times that I watch him in the ring and I forget that he had a stroke and was paralyzed over like the entirety of his body at one point.
Okay. And do we have any other slides here to talk about there? There it is. So we'll have the Just Five Guys crew against the House of Torture crew.
Yeah, that's all I got on that one.
And this one, Yuji Nagata and Minoru Suzuki teaming up for the first time. This is for the first time that we can find that they've been a tag team with Shooter, Shota Umino, and Tiger Mask on the other side at the LIJ contingent of Shingo, Yota Tsuji, Hiromu Takahashi, and Bushi there. And I had some information here on the Nagata-Suzuki rivalry. Suzuki has 78 victories. Nagata has 79 with 2 draws. And that includes like tag matches and things. Records are not 100% complete, by the way. So especially in the early 2000s, we might not have every single match recorded, but that's according to wrestling data. Their first recorded meeting at Ultimate Crush 2, October 13th, 2003. They were in a 10-man tag elimination match. And Suzuki teamed up with, ready for this one, Kazuyuki Fujita, Yoshihiro Takayama. That was a beast of a man right there. Unfortunately, he suffered a pretty serious injury. And Bob Sapp, who for a while was the biggest star in both K1 kickboxing and pro wrestling, teaming with Shinsuke Nakamura. And they defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi. That was back in 2003. Nakamura and Tanahashi. Manabu Nakanishi, Yuji Nagata, Tenzan, and Seiji Sakaguchi, Inoki's right-hand man. That was the very first time that, as far as we know, those two came up against each other in the ring. And then, of course, we just saw
has been a 3-month story, right? Right after the G1, we had the 6-man best of 7 series with Yuji Nagata, Shota Umino, and Master Wato versus Minoru Suzuki, Ren Narita, and El Desperado. And they had 1 draw, and then both teams went 3-3. And then afterwards, they had their respect. And so if you were wondering how this all came to be, after their best of 7 series, Everybody shook hands, and now all three matched opponents are now tag teaming with each other in respective events. And now we have this dream team of Minoru Suzuki and Yuji Nagata that Steven is referring to. It's never happened before. And given their back and forth in which they've been so unbelievably equal, this is a treat, an absolute treat.
It is the year of the odd couple, and in a very cool way. Ghetto, just bringing the world together. So let's get to a couple comments, and then we're going to talk about best years ever. And Brad mentions that, by the way, Matt Vandegrift is really a talent. He's from FSW in Vegas, the same place as Chris Bay and the West Coast Wrecking Crew. So yeah, all right. I mean, he was good in that match with Buck Skinner there. Skinner, by the way, deceptively tall. I walked past him in the casino right there, and that dude's like, I'm 6 feet tall, and he was well above me there, so he's a tall guy. And then let's see, and then Dunstan says that in the King of Pro Wrestling title match, Taichi's stipulation should be the show has to go back to his old self. That's a good one. I like it. They should do that. Okay, best years ever. So who else has had a year like Will Ospreay, or even close to what Will Ospreay has? Brad here has a couple of suggestions. I'm going to do Brad's, and then I'm going to mention a couple of mine. And I'd like to hear some of yours too here, Jeremy. So Orange Cassidy and Zack Sabre Jr. this year, he would put up as having some incredible years. Good call. Speedball this and last year has been incredible. And here's one that I mulled around for a little bit. FTR as a tag team last year had a really phenomenal year. And that was with some of those Briscoe matches, some of the Young Bucks stuff. That was a very, very good year for them. None of them at the same level of Will, but all top tier years. So some good nominations there. And here's a couple of mine now. You know, I'm an old guy and I love the history stuff. So I go way back. Ric Flair, 1989. Here's my point on that one. The 3-match run with Rick Steamboat. Well, he did a house show run with him too. Every match Ric Flair and Rick Steamboat ever had was great. But in 1989, they had 3 very different classic matches at pay-per-views. And those were all interesting in their own ways. Then after that, right on the edge of that third one, when Ric Flair beat Steamboat for the NWA title, it transitioned right into that legendary Terry Funk feud, because Funk attacked him after that last match with Steamboat. And then it went into that house show feud, which was amazing. The Terry Funk working all these great matches with Ric Flair on the house show circuit with a broken tailbone. And I don't know if you read all this after Funk passed away not too long ago. It was in the Observer and things that Funk used to go through takeoffs on airplanes. Then as soon as he was able to unbuckle his seatbelt, he would do so, turn around, kneel on the floor with his head on the seat, because then his tailbone wouldn't hurt for a few seconds, get to the arena, and then put on a brilliant match with Ric Flair. This is just men of a different type then. And then, of course, that all led to the great I Quit match in New York between Flair and Funk, which is one of the all-time legendary NWA television matches. So not too many people have had better years than that. The Midnight Express in 1986. I'm going to throw that one out there because they had some incredible series of matches with the Rock and Roll Express and a little bit more with some other folks in there. That was the heart of that feud, which was one of the great tag team feuds of all time. Also led to a great series of matches with Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, and all that as part of the Great American Bash that year. And when the Bash was at its peak. So that was one of the best years a tag team has ever had. And I thought I would throw those two out there.
So you got any other lists on here?
We can do that.
Yeah, let's at the end.
Colin has mentioned that Speedball Mike Bailey, I don't think he's won many, if any, titles, but he wrestled everywhere against everyone. Yeah, I mean, Mike is having an incredible run in his career. And Richard says Bret Hart in 1997. That's a very good point right there, leading all the way up to really the Montreal Screwjob. But that was when he was really at his peak and having great matches against a lot of different opponents, of course, as a babyface in Canada and then the biggest heel in the United States. So working a couple of different styles there as well, and having strong years of promo. So, but in the ring, Bret had a lot of really great matches in 1997. That's a good one.
So I lean toward, there are a couple of years that Shawn Michaels had somewhere between 2006 and 2010 that you could go from a WrestleMania to a WrestleMania and say that was a banner year.
Mm-hmm.
The Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels year from that to Shawn Michaels versus Edge the next year, or the WrestleMania 1 match with The Undertaker to the next WrestleMania. Those were two completely unbelievable career years for that. And then you also have to keep in mind Kenny Omega 2018 was one of those years that was just like, dude wrestled out of his mind. And I think Will has him beat this year. But the matches that he had, I think that was the 2 out of 3 falls match with Okada was in 2018. It might have been 2017, but I think it was 2018. That was also an unbelievable campaign. And you start getting into, like, you could talk about Okada's reign where he went 12 undefeated matches in a row.
Yes.
That you also have that you can keep in mind. So there are legacy rungs here or there, but I'm pretty sure that this one by Ospreay is going to be hard to match or top.
I'm going to toss out another one here, and I want to hear Sam's. Do you have Sam's?
I don't. I've been looking for it.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you put it in there.
Heading out, I'll catch a rest, send you my outstanding wrestler, and then I never saw it.
Oh, okay. Is it in the Slack or anything?
I'm looking. I didn't see it.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry, Sam. We'll find it. And we'll bring it up next week if we get it.
We're coming back to this.
Yeah. And I'm going to throw a couple out here that come from my heart. And that is from my favorite era of professional wrestling, too, the All Japan run, the King's Road run in the mid-1990s when you had the 4 Pillars of Heaven on top. And that would be Mitsuharu Misawa, the late, great Mitsuharu Misawa, Toshiaki Kawada, Akira Taue, and Kenta Kobashi. Kobashi in 1996 was about as good as anybody on the planet on a regular basis. Mitsuharu Misawa 1994, also 92, 93, 95. But I think 1994, he had what is my favorite professional wrestling match of all time against Kawada. And those Budokan Hall main events, which are that's Eddie Kingston stuff too, like that King's Road stuff, those Budokan Hall main events, they would always end their tours with a big show at Budokan Hall. And also during that period, I think they went something like several consecutive years selling out every show they did in the city of Tokyo. And that would be one there too. So I'm going to throw out there Mitsuharu Misawa in 1994 between his tag team matches and his singles matches with the Triple Crown, Kenta Kobashi 1996. Bobby Petito has some thoughts here. He is picking Julia and Mayu Iwatani and Eddie Kingston's Zack Sabre Jr. Okay.
Did you get Richard with his Bret Hart 97? I think you did.
Yes, I did mention that one there, and there were a lot of good ones going up to the screw job there. That was that year going up to that when it was a very exciting time to be watching WWE TV, WWF TV back then.
Deep cut here.
Yeah, Brad mentions Rob Van Dam's ECW TV title run, this feud with Jerry Lynn at the time. Boy, that is a deep cut, but it's worth mentioning. That's some good stuff to go back and look at there. That I'm not the ECW nut that some other people are. I don't hate it, but I don't have. I'm not the big ECW nut that a lot of people are. But that's some good stuff.
I got nuts, man.
Well, I mean, I'm saying I'm not. That was me. Anything else, Jeremy? Any other thoughts?
No, I think we're good.
I have some new dates.
We're going to be reviewing Lone Star Shootout next week. Maybe we'll have some World Tag League talk to kind of run through. I already picking Ren and Shota to win the whole thing myself, and they're not even announced yet. So
that could pop your balloon a little bit.
I hate to spoil over that for you guys, but they've been circled to win this thing for me for quite a while. What do you got? You got anything else?
Yeah, I do. We have a few new dates coming up for big events, and these are coming up in January. New Beginning in Nagoya on January 20th. We also know that New Beginning in Osaka will be February 11th. February 12th through the 19th is Fantastica Mania. We have talked about that here on the show. February 23rd and 24th, New Beginning in Sapporo. So they will be doing those big shows. Some of those, depending on the lineups, might have a live show to do around that time as well, because we've been doing that for the biggies. So
we got a little bit of housekeeping before we call it a day.
Let's do it.
You ready to go through this?
Fire
So
it.
we will not be on Thanksgiving, which is 2 weeks from today. We will be taking the day off. There will only be 3 shows of World Tag League that day. So we're going to be skipping through on that one. And then what else do we got? Any other? Oh, yes. If you are part of the Patreon, we have moved to Friday morning on the Patreon for the drop. In addition to that, on the Patreon, the Joshi Show, the 5-Star Wrestling Joshi Show with Scott E. Wrestling, is now going to be in the free feed every Friday morning. And given the information that was weird to trickle out with Megan Bain and Stardom and AEW, he is a resource that you should follow. He's also been a co-host, guest, and favored friend of this show. So continue to check that out. We also have our own podcast feed. You can find us if you Google anywhere, Speaking Strong Style Podcast. Should find you a link. You can also find it on my Twitter at Jared Finestone. Doing it there. Any other things?
Yeah, well, I think that's the housekeeping. I think you did a great job with that.
Click like and subscribe. If you have been watching this show, go in there, make a comment on the archive video. Like the show. The more people that like it, if you had fun talking and bullshitting about New Japan Pro Wrestling, liking the show will just make it so that more people join in and have more fun, and we can keep this party going even more. And it's all up to you to go in there and like and subscribe wherever you can get the chance.
I also want to mention the first live, Brad mentions this one. The first live English commentary show on NJPW World is the first night of Tag League. So we'll get to hear that. And let's see. Oh, and Colin mentions the first New Japan American show that had Julia on it is up on the upgraded New Japan site. So you can go and check that out. And Richard also has this question: is Will under contract through the end of February? I haven't read the contract. I am under the impression that it's the end of January, and that once he reaches February, that Will is a free agent.
Like February 1st, he's
midnight.
a free agent kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's exactly when his phone should buzz with messages from both Paul Levesque and Tony Khan. So in case you're wondering when that happens, I'm sure they're setting alarms.
The dreams of the Royal Rumble are not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. That's the important thing there, is that he should not be out of contract by then, from what we understand. So, all right.
Man, this was a good show. Thanks for everybody who showed up, decided to chat. Thanks to the Fight Game Media crew, Sam, Paul. Thanks to Walker Stewart. Man,
yes.
Walker Stewart from New Japan Pro Wrestling.
How cool is this? This is fantastic.
Cool. I'm going to have to send him a thank you. That was rad.
But thank you to all you guys.
The fun that you can have when you join Speaking Strong Style on Thursdays at 5:30 Eastern. Anybody can show up, and it could just get crazy. We had Dave Meltzer on one time. It was pretty wild.
Chris Sampson's been on the show.
Chris Sampson's been on the show.
And we'll be again, I'm sure.
We're speaking of Strong Style, and a lot of people are speaking of Strong Style with us.
With that in mind, we're going to wrap it up here for this week. We will be back next week. So the time we're off, Thanksgiving Day in the United States. But next week, we will be here to talk more about Lone Star Shootout, preview World Tag League, and the other events going on. So for Jeremy Finestone, I'm Stephen Conway. Thanks for listening to and watching Speaking of Strong Style. We'll see you again very soon.